Macbeth by William Shakespeare, one of the greatest books ever written, one of the most interesting plays that you'll ever watch or read, and it's prescribed for study as a single text for Leaving Cert 2026. Most students who sit the Leaving Cert in 2026 will answer on Macbeth. Here we are at the start of our process of getting to know this play and of learning what matters in the play, of how to strategically prepare for success in this section, single text, which is worth 60 marks out of the 400 marks available on the paper. So my maths are right, that's 16.5% of the overall score. You'll have about an hour to answer an essay of about 1,000 words on this text in your Leaving Cert, and you'll have 2 questions you have to answer on one. Paper 2, you have 3 hours and 20 minutes. That means you've got 200 minutes in total. And of those 3 hours and 20 minutes, you'll be given about 60 minutes, 1 hour, to write your answer on Macbeth. But folks, that's very, very, very far away in the future. What we got to do right now is just get to know the fundamentals of the play. And I don't think you can really understand this play, and again, it's all about opinions, unless you understand what I mean when I talk about the Imperial Team. For me, in order to understand what the reason that this play was written, what this play is fundamentally about, you have to understand what's known as the Imperial Team. So let's have a quick chat about that, introduce some of our characters and the basic story of the play. So, this is a play in which religion plays a crucial role. Remember, Shakespeare was writing at a time when religious belief was fundamental to everybody's existence. He's living in London in the end of the 16th, beginning of the 17th century. This is a deeply religious society where the belief in God is not like private or theoretical. It's public and it's real. And the belief in God led to a belief in something called the natural order. Nature to Shakespeare and to Elizabethans and Jacobeans like Shakespeare means God's law. And the belief was that in this world, God exists, and God is 3 things. He's omnipresent, or everywhere at all times. He's omniscient. He knows everything, including what's going on inside your head, even if you don't say it out loud. And he's omnipotent. In other words, if you commit a sin or a crime in the world of man, in the temporal world, if you like, God will eventually punish you. Now, these concepts might sound very complicated, but in order to understand what happens to Macbeth in the play, you got to try and get a grip on them. The system of government portrayed in the play is a system built around something called the divine right of kings. The word divine refers to God. So if you have divine right, it means that you were picked by God to rule. That was the belief. And of course, that was really, really, really important because it meant that service to the king was service to God because the king is God's anointed. It also meant an attack on the king was an attack on God. So it meant that the king had God's protection. So, and if you harm the king, you could expect to be punished by God. So all of these ideas lie at the core of a play in which Macbeth attacks a king. So this belief that God selects one person, and that person is the monarch, and in this play, the monarch, his name is Duncan, that God selects a monarch to rule a kingdom, and that God gives that person absolute power to act on his behalf. My apologies, I thought I had changed pens. There we go. Come on, Paul. There we go. Now the deal was that God gave the monarch the power to rule absolutely. So no parliament, no democracy. He has all the power. But he's supposed to use that power in this kind of virtuous circle. So the people are expected to serve the king, because in serving the king, they're serving God's purpose, the natural order. But the king is supposed to use his power to serve the people, because in doing that,